I don't know if I want to know how this story goes, but
sounds like the beginning of a Russ Meyer film.
Yeah. So I let the puppies out about 2:00 in the morning last night to go to the bathroom, and I looked at my hot tub, and the cover started to sink a little bit from all of the rain.
Ooh, I just wanted to go noticed. I did not that joke that Jeff Rust had was A+, and it needed to be acknowledged. Okay, continue. Water in your hot tub.
No, the cover. So it's the split cover.
Yeah.
It had collapsed a little bit because it had rained, and I took the cover off and like cleared it probably at like 4:30 in the afternoon. So it even more rain had come down because it hasn't stopped.
No, it hasn't. And Russ made a good point on Twitter last night. We went from it was a Pineapple Express and turned into Atmospheric River now.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing?
I saw it somewhere that said yes, it was formerly known as a Pineapple Express, and now they call it an atmospheric river.
But did it change? Was this like Tropical Storm Huey turning into Hurricane Huey?
Oh, that I'm not aware of.
I don't know. Is there a difference? Because the Pineapple Express is more cheeky and fun sounding.
Absolutely.
And it does make it more bearable.
Yeah.
But I believe that, and this is amateur meteorologist Dusty Hara speaking. Actually, I feel like meteorologist would be Dustin Hara. So this is amateur meteorologist Dustin Hara speaking. Guys named Dusty cannot report the weather unless it's like in Oklahoma where you have a dust bowl.
Well, then your last name would have to be like Storm.
Yeah, Dusty Storm.
Yeah.
That, and now we're talking. That is Oklahoma, Tulsa News.
Yeah. Or like in what, the Three Amigos, Dusty Bottoms?
Never heard that one. Never heard that one.
Remember the Three Amigos?
No. I know.
Ned Niederlander?
Look, when your name is Dusty and you're growing up, you get Dusty Rhodes, Dusty Bottoms, and Dusty Springfield. And all of them are different forms of praise or insult in some cases.
You take what you can get.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. Look, my name is Dusty. That's an actual name. My wife looked at her best friend when when I was introduced to her, and as I walked away, she said, "That's his real name." It is what it is.
Things were off to a rollicking start.
It is what it is.
Things happen.
Yeah. It's been 15 years now. Who's laughing?
Yeah. Oh, so
go ahead.
Speaking of things happening, I went out at like 2:00 in the morning, and my hot tub cover like sank an inch on one side. And I went to lift it. It felt like it weighed 300 pounds because so much water had filled up inside of it.
Yeah, that's not good, Bob.
No, so I dump it out, lift it up, dump it over the edge, and then I got it this morning, put the puppies out, and it was down like 4 inches. So the cover's ruined. Yeah, which super cool. But also now
those are cheap.
Oh yeah, they're not only are they not cheap. Now I have to worry about it filling up every day because it's basically a giant 8-foot bowl that just collects rainwater.
Again, back to Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express. I believe amateur meteorologist Dustin Hara, or Dusty Storms, Tulsa Weather Watch. It probably has to do with, because it was warmer. It was like 50 degrees, like it was like 55 degrees, right? It was like warmish. It's probably now it's just cold. So they're like, yeah, screw you. It's an atmospheric river now.
Yeah.
The pineapple is gone.
And I think the other night we set a new record for a high, low temperature. Like an all-time December record. It was only got down to like 65.
See? That's what there we go.
Yeah.
Pineapple Express, great movie too. And I responded to your Pineapple Express with a Pineapple Express GIF, weather related, about hurricane season, and he fires back with me, dazed and confused.
Wow.
GIF.
No, that wasn't me.
That wasn't you?
That was Rufio.
Oh, that was Rufio?
Yeah.
No,
Was it me?
Yep, it was.
Speaking of bowls,
Well,
My gosh.
that was Tito's.
No. You and I was looking at your tweet and going, I don't know how this one I you gave me the
It would be a lot cooler if it did, you know?
my goodness.
Wow. It was a good one.
I got one co-host out there hobbling around on one leg who's out there getting the water out of his hot tub. Meanwhile, I got my producer a half bottle deep of Tito's. erroneously putting gifts out there as if like, is Rufio your burner account? I know, like P1 Rufio was here the other day. I know he's a person, but
Now he's letting me have it on the YouTube chat too.
as he should. What is happening here?
Unbelievable.
What is happening?
Derailed.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was contemplating, do you mix booze with your eggnog, and what is it last night? What do you put in? Because there are two facets. There is eggnog and bourbon and eggnog and rum.
Or
Ooh,
there's eggnog
God.
in trash cans.
Or well, my personal favorite is eggnog.
Ugh.
Is eggnog and brandy.
Brandy.
Yes.
Everything
Looking
about
Glass.
this sounds terrible.
Fantastic song. I may have to, I don't have any brandy on my liquor shelf currently because I'm not 80. But
But if I didn't do brandy, I'd do like a nice, like a Captain Morgan's.
so you were a spiced rum man.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'll throw some bourbon in with the eggnog, and then I love eggnog. Eggnog is a treat. That is the candy corn of the Christmas holidays.
I do
Also
enjoy
sucks.
eggnog.
What?
Also sucks.
Yeah.
Well, candy corn is terrible.
Look, my daughter brought home a project. It was like a writing and research project she
Mhm.
did. She's a fourth grader.
Mhm.
And I'm just, preface
You
parents.
struggled with it?
I'm very proud of my daughter. However,
Mm.
her first ever like full on research report was on the merits of candy corn being America's favorite candy. And I read it and I went, okay.
You
Okay.
failed as a father.
I've got to be nice here.
And it was,
Got to have some tact.
she made some good points,
Mm.
but at the same time, I could have hammered right back over the top with all of the negatives in that.
Not going to be captain of the debate club?
She has a future in it because she made some
Oh.
very good points.
Okay.
In that it was not cited. There was no bibliography. We had no
Mm.
notations, but it was cited that candy corn is produced as a seasonal candy more than any other candy in the United States, and it goes back to the 1800s. And I'm like, well, they should have changed the recipe since then.
Also, this goes back to my red vines point.
Yeah.
You have to produce it in mass quantities because that's the only way people will buy it. It's not actually good.
See, that's not, but that's wrong because everybody knows the bucket of red vines because the bucket of red vines are delicious.
Mm.
You can buy these smaller packs of red vines still. Okay,
Yeah,
those
like
are
the-
available for consumption.
Like the movie theater box.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can get those at stores. You don't just have to buy a bucket of them.
When was the last time you saw somebody with a box of red vines and not a bucket?
Okay, I will go back to this. My booth buddy and I, Steve,
Mm.
for the Banks Braves, we go up to the press box where he's on the defensive headset, I'm on the offensive headset. I bring him a box of red vines every game,
Mm.
and he hammers those things. I hammer those things. Red vines are delicious.
Yes.
But
Oh,
that
or
every week.
chew.
So every week. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe you get a little squirrely, make a straw out of it.
Mhm.
No, we don't do that. I haven't seen that. I used to be a big fan of that. You get like your Dr. Pepper,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Pibb,
absolutely.
and you make it like by a little straw, and you
Yeah.
got that little straw there.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I mean see that's how you make a red vine viable.
Yeah.
Just turn it into something other than
But
food.
I don't want to hear it, Captain Twizzler.
just line your stomach with wax. Like just
Yeah.
disgusting. But her merits of the candy corn were that they do it seasonally where they have like 4th of July candy corn. They have Christmas candy corn. And they do. Like these are facts. They exist and people buy them. I don't know who, but they're there. And I was just but same time proud and disappointed.
We actually
You know?
currently have a bag of candy corn in our house, and it's a variety of mixed fruit flavors.
And it's 8 years old.
No, it's from it's from Halloween.
You bought it?
Wait, they have flavors of it?
Yeah, it was like different fruit flavors,
No,
and
no.
so different colors and such.
I
but-
like flute flavors.
yeah, flute flavors.
We're in.
Yeah.
We're in. All right. That's candy corn. I don't know how we got to candy corn. We got to candy
Your daughter's
corn.
research paper.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I don't know where that even came from. But
Mm.
the merits of eggnog.
That's
Oh,
where it started.
eggnog.
Yeah.
Eggnog
Seasonal
is the
treats.
seasonal
Yeah.
treat. I do appreciate eggnog, but to your point of if it was that delicious, we drink it year round. You can't. It's just too heavy.
Yeah.
It's just too heavy.
And I like it good and thick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Darigold, that's a drop. You need to make
that's a
that. But it is eggnog is a nice little seasonal treat. Sometimes it's okay to just have a seasonal treat. Like probably to your point as well. Does anybody eat hot dogs year round?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
You do? Really? That's just summer.
Well,
for
I guess
me.
no, I
That's
can't
just
say
summer.
year round, but yeah.
Like I'm not
I don't
grilling
even-
up
I don't
hot
even think
dogs in the winter.
There's never a time where I'm like,
Like when I was a kid, yeah, mac and cheese and
well,
hot dogs.
I guess we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
If we're talking hot dogs versus brats, because I haven't had a hot dog in God knows how long. But like a brat or like a chicken sausage, like the Idell's chicken.
Yeah, like if you're
jalapeno.
going Zenners, that's a
Yeah.
different. A sausage is different than just your standard, Oscar Mayer wiener.
Yeah, so I haven't had the Oscar Mayer in a while, but I'll have the Costco Polish dog.
Oh yeah.
Those are year round.
Yeah, there we go.
Or if we go for the hot dogs, a lot of time we'll do the Hebrew National or the Nathan's.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't had like the hot dog variety dog in probably some time.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good.
I just go Polish dog.
Yeah. You go bougie dog.
Yeah.
You got.
That's my mag.
Yeah.
Is tequila? Is that a seasonal drink? Because that's my Christmas seasonal drink.
Okay, that's not the season that I would associate tequila with.
No.
Well, I mean,
but-
it's also a summertime seasonal drink and a springtime seasonal drink and a fall seasonal drink.
No, I just like tequila.
Yeah, that's
I
where
like
am.
tequila.
Yes.
It's good. I'm not a big fan of mezcal though. It's just smoky tequila.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
No,
like
that-
the
that's-
scotch
that's-
of the
yeah,
tequila world.
That's a more acquired taste, certainly.
Yeah. But I like a good smooth
I
tequila.
could, you know what? Of all of the seasonal drinks, if we want to call it seasonal, I can do a mule. Give me the old copper cup.
Oh, I enjoy a Moscow Mule.
I like a Kentucky
Well, a
mule.
nice little variation on that. Use cucumber vodka.
That
very
sounds
refreshing.
terrible.
Oh, it's
I
fantastic.
hate cucumber.
You do.
Yeah, there's something about that refreshing taste
right.
that everybody loves. To me, it tastes like dirt.
Okay. Do you like pickles?
Yeah, I know.
See?
Trust me.
We're flipsies. We're flipsies
yeah.
here.
And see the same thing. Like I don't like raw tomato, but you do literally anything to it, like dice it up and put some cilantro on it and call it pico. Love it.
You can take your cilantro and shove it.
Are you one of those soap babies?
Yeah.
Oh
I
God.
hate cilantro. Just even the smell of it. I don't.
I think it's a great
Get it off my
smell.
plate.
I
Oh,
think
it's
it's a fantastic
fantastic.
smell.
I feel like that's how people are just sorted. Those that are good and pure like cilantro, and those that aren't don't.
Don't ever again try to classify your status as a human as the good and pure.
I don't
Okay.
think anybody's ever tried to refer to me as good and pure.
I am not down here trying to sit and say that I am some sort in my ivory tower saying I am good and pure. But what I will say is do not dare try to put yourself in the good and pure. I have heard far too many incriminating stories in this segment of this show to refute that you are good and pure, sir.
I mean, let the record state that I am. Clearly. How dare you?
I feel like
So far as law enforcement is concerned, anyway.
I absolutely feel like the floors of Odyssey Portland in the studios of 1080 The Fan are about to part and a hand from hell is going to reach up and grab you at any moment during this,
Dad?
this segment. Is that you, Dad? All right. We got sport to talk to. Our man Ryan Horvath is going to join us at 1:30 today. He will talk all things betting. We'll talk NBA Cup betting a little bit. That was last night. We'll talk NBA Cup. Another night of good basketball for the NBA Cup. Good scoring in one game and a controversial finish in the other.
Look, the in-season tournament so far has been a rousing success.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It has been fun basketball. I just can't wait for, the banners to be raised and the T-shirts to be made. But the games have been awesome.
Yes.
The games have been
And the crowds have been electric.
undeniably awesome games with hideous courts. And I have questions. I have a question you can answer on this one when we dive into that. I also want to talk.
What did they put on that shirt? We won the correct random selection of games.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, we did it.
All right.
Mhm.
We did. We can do hard things.
Mhm.
2023.
It's another drop.
No,
it's going to be
not.
the
It's
the
that-
Roman numeral 1 and then cup.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they will do. Just a little bloop and then cup.
An ICUP.
All right. So let's get to it. We got a little bit of news for today.
I think we're kind of news heavy today.
It is.
Kind of a news
It's
heavy day.
one of those newsy days out there. And this is inspiring to the people of Oregon. Next on The Fan.
I like
and then we can kind of go into what loopholes may be out there and pitfalls that may be out there. But there is a report that the Civil War is going to be back as soon as next year and moving forward. But the caution in all of this is that we do have one report out there, but there's a lot of hoops that need to be jumped through in order for this still to happen. And it does involve Oregon playing Oregon State in September. If you're following Twitter, that's where it kind of the first place that I saw it, September 14th, we're going to have the rivalry game back on between the Ducks and the Beavs.
And we talked about this, that the way the Big Ten scheduling is and the way that this sets up for the Ducks in particular was that it always had to be at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, because at the end of the year, Oregon and Washington will be now playing, and beginning of the year, it's a non-conference game, so you're going to push that thing forward, and it'll be at the beginning. It would be interesting to see if maybe they can kind of, I don't know, toggle some schedules late in the future to where you have like a Florida State play the last regular season game of the season, right? Georgia Tech do the same thing. If you can have maybe that moving forward later on, hopefully the Big Ten can kind of massage that and make it work.
Which won't happen for at least 4 years because the schedule's already.
Well, yeah, and the protected rivalry though in the Big Ten's eyes is Oregon and Washington moving forward, and that's how business is going to be done. But I don't think that takes away from this rivalry's significance because look, the Red River rivalry is earlier in the year every year between Texas and Oklahoma.
It's also super fun.
The Tennessee Alabama game. Third weekend of October every year. That's not at the end of the year.
Isn't Tennessee, Florida early too?
Yeah, that one jumps around. That one I don't think is as protected date wise.
But it's not. It's never like last game of the year. Kind of deal. It's usually like early or mid.
But you can have these games and still make them just as interesting early in the year. Like the Fog Bowl will always like be stuck in my memory. Having the War of the Roses is going to be stuck in my memory. Late games, cold, the rain affecting the Toilet Bowl, the scoreless tie in '83, the last scoreless tie in college football history. That one was just a mess of wind and rain where no team could move the ball, and neither one were really good enough to move the ball anyways. No. Like those games being late in the year where the weather played a big role, those will stick out. But as we have significant changes in the landscape of college football, this is going to be one where we get it early in the year. Yeah. And you can't get much better than showcasing the weather early in the year in the state of Oregon, right?
Hey, you want to come up to Oregon? Here you go.
Let's go.
The thing about this is not that it's early in the season. It's that it's happening.
Yes.
That's what matters.
Here.
Like, you and I have seen it over the last year. Beaver fans not thrilled about the prospect of it because they feel betrayed, and they have every right to feel that way.
Sure.
Because they're left holding the bag or an empty bag. And, we got a lot of in the text line over the last year or on Twitter or whatever in conversation about how they don't want to ever play the Ducks again.
Yep.
And I get that. But at the same time, you've got one of the longest lasting rivalries in all of college football.
Yeah.
You have a ton of history. It's 40, what is it? Less than, how many miles apart are they?
44.
44, yeah. So it's 44 miles apart. Like the whole point of it being called the Civil War is because it was family divided. Because it was literally right next to each other in the sense of college campuses.
You can go around the street you live on, and you'll find people on either side of it, man.
Hell, within the same house.
Yep.
And there's something to be said for that. And bringing that back, or not even bringing it back, keeping it going matters.
And I want to hear from Oregon State fans. I want to hear from Oregon fans. How do you feel about this rivalry being renewed for the foreseeable future? If it is pulled off, 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online, vancouverford.com. I want to hear at 503-864-6326 how you feel about this rivalry continuing because it is important. But this isn't, we have not seen anything saying the ink is dried because there is scheduling gymnastics having to happen. So in order for this to happen, we've been talking about this. Oregon is in a tight spot because they have not 12. They have 13 games on their schedule
Mhm.
next year. The reason why they can have 13 games is because they have a trip to Hawaii
Which
that
grants you
is on the
extra.
books.
Yeah.
In going to Hawaii, the NCAA, because it is so hard to get teams to travel to Hawaii, say if you are willing to go there, you can add an extra game to your schedule. Oregon currently has 13 because on their non-conference schedule prior to any of this happening was at Hawaii, Idaho, Texas Tech, and Boise State. Okay,
Who's the team they dropped there?
Texas Tech.
Hmm.
Texas Tech is apparently, according to the report, going up to Pullman and will be playing Washington State instead of going to Eugene. Go to Pullman instead on the 14th. The Boise State game, which is scheduled for the 14th, will move 1 week forward to the 7th because they were planning to play Oregon State. That game goes away because of the Mountain West partnership.
Yeah.
So they needed to get rid of that game anyways because you have a Mountain West partnership.
And it facilitates both.
Absolutely. And Washington State, I believe, had San Diego State on the schedule for the
14th,
7th. Yeah.
14th, yeah.
They had San Diego State on the 7th. That is being replaced with the Texas Tech
Texas
game.
Tech, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So Texas Tech is going up there now. So they eliminate a Mountain West team so they can do the 3 home, 3 away.
Yes.
But when you have all of these different schools having to participate in this one game happening, there's still a lot that can go wrong, right? It is encouraging that we are getting to that point where it looks like it's starting to get figured out. Think of all this. In order for Oregon State and Oregon to play, okay, it's not just the Ducks and the Beavs. It is Boise State,
Mm-hmm.
Washington State,
Mm-hmm.
San Diego State,
Mhm.
Texas Tech,
Mm-hmm.
and 6. So you have 6 schools. 6 schools. 6 schools.
All to make it so 2 teams can play.
And I think that's the right thing to do for the rivalry, for the fan base. You have the 3rd longest continuing rivalry in all of college football, right? Or in, I guess, the FBS levels.
Sure.
They've been playing this game since 1894. There's no reason to stop it now. And I know that Oregon State fans may feel a little bit different about that. And look, that's something that hard feelings are going to happen when this conference realignment stuff goes down.
Yeah.
But
And we're already getting on the text line.
I mean, we really are. And I want to hear your feedback. And some of it will be thoughtful. Some of it will be knee jerk. I don't care. I want to know how both these fan bases feel because I'm excited as hell that this game is going to continue to go on. It's not the best news in the world in Oregon State's realm right now because of everything that's going on. And, I heard in Russ' update that Jack Velling also entering the transfer portal.
Mhm.
I think that puts you at like 1 tight end.
Yeah. 1 tight end and no quarterbacks.
1 tight end in the program right now. That is, it's going to be
A lot of work to do.
Yeah, but this is what happens when you
Mhm.
get a situation like not just the conference uncertainty, but,
coach.
your head coach leaving. Your head coach leaving is a big one. But as it pertains to this rivalry continuing, I love it, and I'm here for it. 503-864-6326. We'll get to some of your feedback first. Big Kahuna, Sports Center.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Big's Chicken. Try their smoked and fried wings tossed with a perfect dry rub and served with a killer trio of sauces online at bigschicken.com. First on the Fan, more accolades for Oregon quarterback Bo Nix as he was in Southern California last night to accept the Campbell Award, generally known as the Academic Heisman. Nix is the second Duck to win the award following Justin Herbert 4 years ago. Fresh off an all Pac-12 second-team selection, Oregon State tight end Jack Velling indeed has entered the transfer portal. According to Nick Daschel of the Oregonian, Velling set a school record for a tight end with 8 touchdowns this season. Trailblazers wrap up their 5-game trip tonight at the Warriors. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports. Jeremy Grant out. He remains in concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton doubtful with right knee soreness. But Anthony Simons now questionable. He could return after tearing a ligament in his right thumb on opening night. The Blazers are 12.5-point dogs. In the NFL, Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson says quarterback Trevor Lawrence will not practice today as he deals with a high ankle sprain suffered Monday night against the Bengals. Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy will have surgery today after being diagnosed with an acute case of appendicitis. He is expected to be released from the hospital later today and plans on coaching Sunday night against the Eagles. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Every day, get the NFL headlines delivered straight to you. Follow the Best Football Show with Brian Baldinger on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
hoops in order to make this happen, but I'm glad that it appears that the framework is there. One thing also to note is that you now have the Beavers. If this is true, we'll have 10 games lined up. They'll have Idaho State, Oregon, Purdue, 3 Mountain West home games, 3 Mountain West road games, and then you will have Washington State will obviously be on the schedule as a game that will be played for the Pac-2. So that pushes you up to 10 games on your schedule right now, and now you only need to find 2 more. And there are reports of, this was widely reported, the several schools, Cal, Stanford, Virginia. Virginia's a weird one, but Virginia apparently had been in talks of maybe getting a game on.
Virginia.
So, yeah, Virginia. And then the Cougs now have 11 games, which will likely be 10. It'll likely be 10 games because they do have a game against San Jose State scheduled for September 21st. But remember, they have 3 home and road Mountain West games. San Jose State plays in the Mountain West right now, so I would imagine that going away. But the Cougs have Portland State, Texas Tech, Washington, OSU, and then the 3 Mountain West home and road games, and potentially San Jose State if that one still sticks around. But the question that we have for folks out there,
what about Virginia?
What about them? What about Virginia? Do you want to see this game moving on? And I know that this is more pointed towards Oregon State fans because I think Duck fans do want to, but there's the jilted lover in all of this, and it is Oregon State. Your fan base is chiming in, and I understand where they're coming from. I'm glad that this rivalry is still happening. It's good for the state. It's good for football. But text at 503-864-6326, the Vancouver Ford text line. Screw that. Play Oregon with a gutted and depleted roster with the zeros, so the zeros can pad their stats. No thanks. Another one, P1 Dustin. No. Screw the Ducks. They bailed like bees. I don't want to play them ever again. That's one way to say it.
Yeah.
As a Beaver fan, I want no part of this game. Not interested in this rivalry turning into a butt-kicking once a year. Should have moved on.
To that point, I'm not trying to be combative here. Does that mean you don't want to play anybody else in a big conference ever again?
Yeah, does this eliminate Washington or Cal, which it could be?
But
it is the rival.
But I mean, does it eliminate anybody? Like, isn't the whole point is like you want to play better competition? Like, again, I'm not saying that's your little brother and it's going to be so bad. Like, if you're going to get pushed down, does that mean like would you rather them if this like we were talking about yesterday with the new subdivision? Would you rather just not be a part of the big boy club anymore? Because if you're talking about playing not just Oregon, what if you play, I don't know, Texas? What if you play Georgia? Oregon is trending more towards that direction than not. So does that mean you're not going to play anybody else yearly anymore? That one game a year now on your schedule, you wouldn't want it to be Oregon if for not just a little hope of kicking the crap out of them one year?
I agree with that, but at the same time, it is the feeling of they left you behind.
For sure.
And they kicked you to the curb.
And
on
now
the way
get
out.
even.
Yeah.
Look, I am a spiteful man. My God, I am spiteful and I am petty. If I have this opportunity to ruin a season, even if it's infinitesimally small, and I'm going to fall on my face 15 times before it happens, you better believe I'm going to take it.
This one says, screw Oregon. I'm a Beavs alum, and I want nothing to do with it ever again. They moved on. Beavers need to do it as well. So you can find another home and home game for revenue. Okay. All right. I'm all for the Civil War game continuing. I love nothing more than to see the Beavers derail the Duck season, especially early on. I think it's great. Another one, OSU should have moved on. All this game does is guarantee a loss every year as Oregon is making $80 million a year in the Big Ten. A once fun rivalry will turn into a joke. Now, there is that threat and that fear. Right.
But that's what I'm saying. So, okay. So instead of playing Oregon, you go play another Power 4 program.
Yeah. But here's where I will push back. If you look at the Oregon versus Boise State rivalry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boise State is a Mountain West team.
Very sideways there.
That has been paid 3 times to beat Oregon.
Handily.
Okay. And that is something that you go, okay, That's one of those ones where you either back down, and you say we never want to do it again because of the threat of the beatdown is there,
Yes.
or
You rise to the occasion.
yeah, you get up by your bootstrap, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you play that football game and see how it goes. I understand both sides of this, and I understand where Oregon State fan is coming from, but I think you still want to have that rivalry continue,
Yes.
and to still have that game, because think of it this way: if you have that year where you are, and Trent Bray does a great job, and you don't play them, and you have a great season, and you had the opportunity to beat them and ruin their year, and say no, we could still do it. We could still do it. It's your Super Bowl. It's your Super Bowl every September. Every September. Meanwhile, Oregon is going to be looking at
it's your in-season tournament.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. It is that game that you can sit there and you can lean back on. Unlike the in-season tournament, this game will mean something.
Wow.
Not kidding.
Wow.
But it will be something that actually matters to you and your program when you do have those years. The separation of Oregon and Oregon State has been there over the last several years. Financially, Oregon is on far better footing than they ever have been. It's always been an uneven playing field since Phil Knight got involved and Oregon pushed all in on their athletics. That's the truth. That is the truth. It has been more one-sided. But does that mean that Oregon State loses every year? No, it doesn't. It absolutely does not, and it hasn't meant that. The hill is a lot steeper to climb, though. That is the reality of it. That hill is way bigger to climb because you're not in the same conference. You're not getting the same recruits anymore. But how many recruiting battles were you actually in with Oregon in the first place, right?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% get upset Oregon State fan. I do. I truly do. But the whole idea of rise to the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of been the Beavers thing, is the plucky underdog forever. Why not continue being that with the opportunity to not only get paid to beat Oregon?
Yeah.
You see, my whole beef with angry Beaver fan about this whole thing is it's giving off wicked vibes of, you can't fire me, I was going to quit anyway.
Yeah.
Screw you.
But how many people act like that, or that get dumped and say, I don't like her anyways? Yeah. But that's the way it is. This one says, this is so effing stupid. Give up a home game versus a Big 12 team to go on the road to a team that isn't even a group of 6. And that's an Oregon fan saying that, because there is another side of that. Oregon does give up a home game in order to do this. They're giving up a return trip from Texas Tech to Eugene to go on the road to Corvallis, and they're going to play this game in Reeser next year, according to the report. So we'll see.
I'm sure. Look, the thing is the reason Oregon does this, I would be willing to bet a particularly large sum of money that there's boosters on both sides, that there are legislators on both sides that are urging both programs to keep this going.
Yeah. And I think the people at the top of both of those universities and athletic departments, they are more level-headed about what was at stake and what was at play in conference realignment, and what that rivalry does mean to the universities and to the state as a whole.
Yes.
This bitterness, it will not pass. Do not get this twisted.
Hell, it'll make the rivalry more toxic, and I love it.
That is 100% true. 100% true. But hell, that's how Oregon and Washington became rivals.
Yes.
It's because Washington wanted to spite Oregon and
keep them out,
and then voted them out of a Rose Bowl one year. This is it's what makes rivalries
pettiness,
intensify.
spitefulness. Love it.
Yep. Beef saying here, unfortunately, we need it monetarily and to keep up with the notion in recruiting that we're getting quality opponents for the kids to show off their abilities against quality competition. Just reality. They aren't in the same conference. I don't see any reason to play the game anymore. As an OSU fan, I'm over it. That coming from Ryan. Beaver fan, you should have more. You should be having more to look forward to with the Civil War. It's revenge every year for leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every year you get an opportunity to give them the double bird.
Yep. OSU fan here. These next 2 years are going to be rough for us in the Civil War, but we need any ticket sales money, TV money for that game, and even beer and food sales we can get. It's sad, but we need money, and that's part of the equation. There is that with that game in your stadium, you're selling that bad boy.
Yeah.
You're selling that TV.
That additional revenue is yours.
Yep. Yeah. Man.
And let's be honest, you're going to sell that thing out for that game every year.
Yeah. Oregon State has been relegated to a subdivision talent level after a 10-win season, now an 8+ win season. We have no coach, no conference, but we're supposed to celebrate the, quote, opportunity to continue to play Oregon, who's getting a net positive out of realignment and who's also holding up a lawsuit for the Beavs to try and get some assets only to survive. Shoot that bull into the sun. They moved on. The Beavers need to move on. I want nothing to do with them. Find a different school to play. This is just another kick in the junk. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Understand it.
Tell me how you really feel, guys.
But no,
No, in all seriousness, that's I love that everybody's being honest and forthright about where they stand.
Yeah. I mean,
there's not a lot of like, well, I don't really care right now.
I will say the opportunity to beat a team that left you behind.
Yes.
That's what a lot of teams would look forward to every damn season, and that's the truth.
It's an easy motivator.
In the Big Ten, you have to go through a murderer's row of opponents to win a championship, and softies are worried about killing the longest rivalry in college sports to have one less hard opponent, while in some cases applauding the Apple Cup continuing. Of course they should continue the Civil War. Softies be damned. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Boy, there's a lot of texts on this, and I want to get to a lot of them, but we'll have to revisit this a little bit down the road in today's show because I mean, this is a big story and this is big news coming out of Corvallis and Eugene. The Civil War will continue, and I think that is great things. But again, I will caution everybody: there's still a lot of, even though it appears that things have been agreed upon, a lot of hoops to jump through. Still, a lot of hoops to jump through. 6 different teams are involved in getting one game on the schedule for next year, and that's one of the stupidest things in college football. I say this all the time. But it needs to be said. It is not okay to schedule games out 10 years in advance.
No, screw that. We got to get back to a 1 year. At most 2.
It is absolutely ridiculous. This is Danny Dusty on 1080 The Fan. 24, September 14th, for that game. So we have a lot of really good feedback. And honestly, we just got basically a tenth of the feedback that we read. We went through a lot of text.
We got bombarded.
We
with
got
texts.
pages and pages of text and a lot of numbers chiming in, and I want your voices to be heard because I do think at times like these it is important. It is important. So we're going to sift through those and get rid of the ones that, because that's the hard part when we're going through this live. For those that don't know, our text stream, it just kind of like, it just stacks up. Like they just keep coming in. You can't pause it. You can't stop it.
No.
And so I just go through and I start reading, and then all of a sudden I'll notice that I'm reading a text that has nothing but F-bombs after the first sentence, and I go, I need to stop that one.
We'll just
So
take
I'm
a
going to
little-
sift through some. I'm going to sift through some.
Take a little highlight reel here and
Yeah.
rain check on that one. Oh, and
Which is also why we don't take calls, is because like that it was always a doozy. Like it may start strong, and then you're like, whoa, abort.
you're hitting that space bar an awful lot.
You can't stop the feed. You can only hope to contain it.
That's right. So I want to end hour number one with this. Zach Wilson is starting again for the New York Jets.
Is he excited about it? Didn't sound like it.
No, but I heard Aaron Rodgers went on McAfee yesterday and said that Diana Rossini, our beloved Diana
Indeed.
Rossini, who's now with The Athletic. Yes.
Yes.
She had the report. She was the one that reported that he had apprehension of taking that starting job over again, which Robert Saleh did say no. He wants to play. Duh. But Rodgers was calling it BS, I think he
Have
wants
we
to
ever
play.
had a season like this where we see quarterbacks get benched, unbenched, benched, unbenched, benched, unbenched? Because
Yes, it's the NFL. Yeah, that happens all the time. What we haven't seen is this amount of backup quarterbacks playing. Think of
maybe
this.
that's what it is.
Like-
It's half the league.
It almost. I think it's 14.
Yeah, it's half the league.
14. It is damn. Like that's not hyperbole. It's
yeah.
damn near half the league.
And I saw a tweet, yesterday, I think it says if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play Sunday, 4 of the current 7 AFC playoff teams will be starting backups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which gives a lot of like the Buffalo Bills, who are currently not in the playoff picture,
Gives them a chance.
gives them that hope, and apparently going to be playing Von Miller, which
Maybe don't. We can talk about that later too.
that's brutal, dude. Gardner Minshew, also a backup that is going to that is starting. Think of that, like
For the rest of the year because Anthony Richardson's out.
Thursday Night Football this week. We'll have
Oh,
2
God.
backup quarterbacks with Kenny Pickett being out. That S
Which
show
is kind
between
of hilarious because Kenny Pickett's really backup.
you have Patriots, Steelers. Just going down the list here of just trying to figure out who the backups are that are playing. The Colts, the Bengals. I mean, and by the way, Colts Bengals play each other, so that's a backup bowl right there. You have the Jags and Browns, also gonna be a backup
Backups.
bowl. You have the Saints will probably be with Jameis because Derek Carr's in concussion protocol, right?
We can talk about what his brother said yesterday.
You have the Jets. We do need to talk about that and grab that audio. That was something. If you missed it, David Carr with a wild comment.
Yeah.
He wants half the league to be backups with what he said.
Yes.
You have the Jets will be on their
We do have
backup.
that sound, by the way.
You will have the Vikings on their backup, the Raiders on their backup.
Mhm.
Goodness gracious
Mhm.
almighty. It's brutal. It's hard in
Yeah.
the streets right now. And those are all, by the way, just games that are going to be played this week. That's games that are just being played this
But
weekend.
we have to protect the quarterbacks.
In Monday Night Football, the Titans will be with their backup.
Yep.
And so will the New York Giants,
Well-
who are going with
Is Levis really the backup though?
yeah,
they
because
named him
benched Ryan Tannehill.
But they named him the starter.
Yeah, I know,
Like,
but guys, that you start the season as a backup, and
okay.
yeah, I mean
I'll
that's
allow
it.
it.
And then Tommy DeVito, Tommy Chitlet.
I mean-
what are they calling him? Tommy Chitlets? Is that what they're calling him?
Oh.
I don't know. I have no idea what his nickname
I
is.
mean, he might be better than Daniel Jones anyways. So
That is one. That means you haven't seen Tommy DeVito play 500 back there, because Daniel Jones is not doing it at a high level, but it's
the
gnarly.
bar is the floor.
The ceiling is the roof.
Yeah.
The
It's
ceiling
not
is
great,
the
Bob.
roof. Oh man! All right, let's get to our number 2. I want to start with the SEC's slogan, "May be taken." Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
My dad has a cold, but
/1080 AM The Fan, where the chat is lively today. Welcome everybody. I see you all there. Jake the Hater, Rufio, Cy, all the usual characters. Cole is in the chat today. It's good to see all of you guys there. And thank you for being a part of the day. If you don't know, you can go like and subscribe us on the YouTubes. Go and watch all of the fan shows.
Smash that like button.
Smash.
Indeed.
You know what I was smashing last night? Not just some nog and bourbon.
Wow, that's not where I thought that was going.
I was smashing some in-season tournament. You like that? Double dribble? You guys remember the game Double Dribble?
Oh, I remember Double
Yes,
Dribble.
where did you get that?
That's a hidden drop. That's an oldie but a goodie.
Man.
Goodness.
I thought something was going wrong over here. I'm like, I didn't do it.
I love that. Double dribble, baby. I was watching the in-season tournament, and again, it delivered very good basketball for us. We talked about this yesterday. To be determined on the value of winning it, but mission accomplished. People watch those games because the players care more. And you saw that offensively in the Knicks and Bucks game. Maybe not so much on the defensive end of the floor, as I saw the Milwaukee Bucks score 75 points in the first half against the, again, now correct me if I'm wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Knicks are one of the best defensive teams in the NBA.
They're up there for sure. It depends. Let me pull up where they're at. I know they were up there.
They have a sadistic defensive-minded coach still who runs his starters into the ground. But it was 75-72, and I don't care if there's a lick of defense played. The offense was incredible in that first half.
Ninth best defense.
Ninth best defense in the league.
An above average defense for sure.
Yeah.
Top third, easy.
Top third, easy. And I watched that game, and you could tell it meant a ton for both the Bucks and the Knicks. Watching Giannis and Dame in a moment where you're sitting there, and like you were talking about this yesterday, you have coaching staffs that are starting to attack this as if it's a playoff game and how rules will be filtered through,
and
how
who
we'll
get
play.
touches and how they go about games. I mean,
And we don't see that with these teams that are new,
No.
like the core of the Milwaukee Bucks is. Like inserting Damian Lillard, like everybody's like instantly, yeah, that team's gonna be really damn good, and they are,
they're
right?
15-6 now, and they're just Dusty. They are just now starting to figure stuff out.
But you cannot replicate them caring about a game in that intensity level in the regular season. Like that is a great unknown with any of these teams that kind of come together. You see them kind of work through issues as the season goes on, but seeing how quickly you can insert Dame into that team, and defense can be an issue for them at times. See the first half. But how another team, a good defensive team, we'll say not a great defensive team, in the New York Knicks, the headaches that they pose offensively, that's something that we wouldn't really get a hint of until maybe Christmas Day, right? And now we're starting to see, because of the in-season tournament, and this is why it is a success. And I'm the last person to blow smoke on whether this thing means anything or not, because I've been the most apprehensive person in the world on it. We got it.
Yes.
And we've been able to see it over the last handful of games. And when it's a single elimination tournament and you have that game mean something, it was actually really enjoyable to watch that basketball game last night.
You take a look at it, and even though the Bucks end up kind of blowing out the Knicks, there was a playoff intensity in the sense of like and how the execution went about. And people say, oh, no, defense was played. I'd argue defense was played, and I'd say the shot making last night was incredible.
That is the hardest part about defending Milwaukee.
Yes, and that's the thing is like you've got Brook Lopez, you've got Giannis, you've got Chris Middleton, you've got Damian Lillard, you've got Malik Beasley, you've got Bobby Portis. Like it's never ending.
And that was 75% from three. Is that what the Bucks shot in the first half?
Yes, they ended up cooling down to a cool 60.5 while
that good?
shooting 60.4 from the field.
Yeah, they shot 75% or something. It wasn't. I don't think it was.
Oh, I mean,
round number.
Damon Beasley shot 11 for 17 from three on the game.
But that was like, in the looks that they were getting, it wasn't like New York was not trying to take them away. It's just who. Who are you going to? Okay, so you're going to open up the lane for Giannis? Okay, good luck with that. You mentioned Brook Lopez. He found himself kind of buried in a corner at times, it wide open. That's not like a center usually. Sure, not him. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to give him wide open looks.
No, then that was the thing was when this deal went down. This is what I said. You are going to have the most versatile pick and roll team maybe ever, because Dame operates at a level in the pick and roll over the last decade as a scoring guard better than anyone ever.
Yeah.
And when you put him in a pick and roll with Giannis, and this is, remember, we talked about this early in the season, the Bucks and their new coach, Adrian Griffin, not putting Giannis and Dame in pick and rolls.
Boy, he had a look when he was doing like his halftime interview, like he was out on Mars.
I don't think he's going to make it past Christmas. Even as good as the Bucks are playing, just behind the scenes,
Really?
doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound great. I mean, they're just now getting their defense under control because he threw a scheme out there that had Brook Lopez covering guys at the 3-point line. For those who don't truly understand, Brook Lopez is an island. Like he is huge. He is a massive human. Like,
well, how many players can you think of that have, from the beginning of their career to a point like Brook Lopez now, who have just completely changed their entire game?
Very
has.
few.
Yep.
He's always been like a good defensive player. He got to be a great rim protector.
Yeah. Then offensively too.
Well, offensively, he was one of the best post guys in the entire league. Here's a quick stat for you. Do you know that Brook Lopez is the Nets all-time leading scorer? That's how good he was.
I think this is a lot about the Nets.
It does say a lot about the Nets.
Brook Lopez is 20 a game for years. Like,
yeah, no, he
was a bucket.
Volume, yeah, and like having him defend at 3-point line, the guy who averaged 2.5 blocks a game. Last year, take him away from the rim.
Yeah. So they're figuring that stuff out, but they're also figuring their offense out. And now, the Dame Giannis pick and roll, it is the 28th most used pick and roll combo in the NBA. Early in the season, it was 85th. It is now in the 97th percentile.
Yeah, I'd use that.
Yeah, the Dame Lopez pick and roll, 9th most used pick and roll combo in the NBA.
Yeah,
they're getting towards that, and on the other part of that is the Dame pick and roll combo. Like his points per possession is skyrocketing.
Yeah, one thing I can say with certainty, the Knicks won the uniform matchup, and that's one thing that they were just in their normal home whites, and Milwaukee was wearing the in-season tournament uniforms. They look so much better. And that is the eyesore of all of this, is that when the home team is wearing those, I don't know, are they calling them the City Edition uniforms this year? The City Edition uniforms, and the other team looks in their traditional look, and you have like a classic and good traditional look, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
It looks really bad.
It does.
But that game was fun, and then the night game, we had controversies at the end. We
had lots of controversy at the very end, that's for sure.
And that game was more fun, even though, I wasn't quite sure what Phoenix was doing early in the game.
They messed around.
They did mess around. In LeBron James in year 21 now, everybody's saying LeBron in year 21 is amazing.
39 years old. Actually, was it next week?
31, 8, and 11. And he, at times, was looking like he was the only person in a Lakers uniform that really cared to the level that the in-season tournament should be cared about. But the fact that he still has it within him because we saw this in these frustrations when Michael Jordan was getting long in the tooth, and he wasn't 39 doing it like that. He was still MFing guys and holding them to the standard, and he couldn't keep up with it. LeBron can still do it.
Well, here's your line of the night. LeBron James is a plus 12. Anthony Davis is a minus 1.
Yeah.
That tells you who's still, as much as LeBron trying to say it's Anthony Davis's team now, we have yet to see anything that says that it's Anthony Davis's team now.
Let's go to the controversy though, because the end of that game, boy, that is not sitting well with Frank Vogel. And if you want to have It Still Matters, we'll play the audio of Frank Vogel, because I don't know how this happens in 2023 in professional basketball. Danny Dusty on the Fan. Army Navy, where like Danny is like, go Air Force the whole time.
Indeed.
Yep.
Turn that on.
Turn that mic on.
God, I hate
Turn
when
that
I do
mic on. All right, last night we were talking the in-season tournament. Eyesore is the Lakers court. It's really ugly, but it was an entertaining game. Another entertaining game where Kevin Harlan did it for me again last night. Right before the half, when they had the block shot wedgie, how excited Kevin Harlan got. I want that in my life. I don't know anybody that can get that excited about something except for I had somebody tweet at me, Gus Johnson in college football gets excited about an incomplete pass, like Kevin Harlan gets excited about a block shot that results in a wedgie.
He was absolutely lit.
And it was great.
My feelings.
Just Kevin Harlan, he's classic. He's great. I love Kevin Harlan. But the game came down to a very controversial finish.
I don't think it's even controversial. I think the NBA botched this.
Yes. But that's where the controversy comes in is what in the world was it Tony Washington, the official in last night's game? Or is it Troy Washington?
Tiven was the one. Josh Tiven was the
Josh Tiven, Tom Washington.
Yes.
I got all my T's mixed up. Tony Washington, former Duck, the bow. But
I was way off.
Tom Washington, he botched that bad boy big time because he's the one that gave the timeout, right? And if you're wondering how that game finished, a mad scramble in a 3-point game at the end of the ball game, the Lakers had a lead and the ball gets kicked loose and they get the Phoenix goes for a trap. They get the trap. They try to kick the ball out. Ball gets kind of batted around. Phoenix gets like, if this is football, they'd be like, clear recovery, fumble, right? And all of a sudden, whistle blows. Timeout was granted to LeBron James, who's across the court as the ball was rolling across the floor. And rightfully so, you look at Frank Vogel after the game, he was incensed by the call.
I mean, it's a loose ball, and, the ball's out, and they call timeout on a loose ball. You can't call timeout on a loose ball. Can't do it. So if the whistle blows, I don't know why, everything in the league is reviewable. I don't know why that can't be reviewable.
What are we looking at there? Like, why is that not something that can be reviewed? But I guess, like, what would the reviews say?
There's
is that
nothing to trigger the review.
It would be side out for LA again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it would go because the ball was technically loose when the whistle was blown.
So jump ball.
A jump, but then you'd go jump ball there?
Yeah. If there's no way to establish possession.
Wow.
The pool referee last night was Josh Tiven, and Jovan Bua of The Athletic asked him to explain the situation. And the way the referee explained it was that he Austin Reeves, had his left hand on top of the ball, pushing the ball against his thigh, thus granting possession, which is, I'm telling you right now, if you say something like that anywhere else, you're getting punched.
That's bad.
You can't have possession.
Not good, Bob.
You can't have possession if you don't have control.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't understand.
This is Des Bryant was a catch, but on the other side.
Yeah, that is a brutal.
Because it turns it, because the ball rolls away and Grayson Allen's got it, and it's a 2-on-1. All he has to do is flip it back to KD, and it's a tie game.
I think the larger point here is that
the Suns shouldn't have screwed around.
That is a big one. That is a very big one, and they have some continuity issues that I don't know how they're going to be resolved in a timely fashion. Because, like, look at it. Let's call it what it is. You got Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, Yusuf Nurkic, Kevin Durant right now, right?
How dare you leave out Drew Eubanks?
No, I mean, those are the guys that are starting for you, and those are going to be the guy who is Eric Gordon is the one that is that vocal leader in that way. Like, Kevin Durant is the alpha. He's the dude, right? Yeah. He's the best player.
I think you can make an argument that right now Booker might be.
Well, Booker is, his leadership has been questioned his entire career, but so has Kevin Durant's, right? And who kind of, like, you need
and it's
that
not Brad
back.
Beal.
No, and who's non-existent right now because of injury. But you look at that and you go, okay, who is going to be that guy who LeBron was that guy last night for them? He was the guy that said, no, I'm going to drag your asses to a win if you guys don't care about this thing. And there was a whole lot of that happening with the Lakers. Not that they didn't care about the outcome of the in-season tournament. No, they were just like in kind of a malaise at times during that game. And he was the guy to drag them out of it. That was Phoenix for the whole time. Like, Phoenix made their runs.
But otherwise, they
messed around,
too.
too.
They were stuck in honey. I mean, Yusuf Nurkic picked up 2 fouls in the first, 4 minutes of the game. And
that's totally Nurk, though.
And we know that because before this game, he had fouled out of the last 2 games.
Hey-o!
You know what the record is for most consecutive games fouled out of?
Oh, no.
Take a shot in the dark.
6.
5.
Really?
5 straight games.
Ooh.
Dolph something or other. It's a 40s game. 40s
Dolph
name.
Lundgren.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't think it's Dolph Shays.
Yeah.
Either, so.
No, I mean, like that has to be an old name because you're not naming anybody Adolf anymore.
No.
I mean, that was a long time ago that that guy was born in the 20s.
Yeah. It's a pre 1931 name.
Yeah,
for sure.
I have a feeling like there were a lot of name changes done after that. Like, we can't call our son that anymore.
No.
That's not a.
I'm gonna go by my middle name.
Yeah.
Larry.
Reginald.
Dolph Larry Hera.
That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it, boss. But that was one where, again, success of the in-season tournament, if that's just a December 5th game, nobody cares about the outcome of that game.
I mean, they do because of the outcome. It's LeBron and the Lakers, but yes.
Nobody, the magnitude of it.
But everybody else was tuned in, and now you've got...
I can't believe this stupid tournament's working.
Yeah, and now
Way
the
to go,
NBA
NBA.
is the Laker fan base traveling to Las Vegas.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You want
boy.
to know who has a home court advantage?
Oh.
That crowd's going to be 80% Laker fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easily.
Absolutely. But they're playing the Pelicans.
Yes.
They don't have a fan base, period. So they
No.
weren't traveling no matter where it was.
Ouch.
Oh, come on. Act like that was a cheap shot of New Orleans. It's not.
Nobody likes to bring it up.
It's not. And now what is still in front of us is we could have the matchup that everybody has been waiting for. We very well could get Dame CJ Championship Series.
Hey-o.
Well, not a series, just a game.
A
It's
game.
still in play. We could have Bucks Pels as the in-season tournament championship. And if that doesn't scream the Portland Trailblazers for decades straight from 2012 to 2022, I don't know what does, baby. The in-season tournament championship could be decided by Dame and CJ.
Raise the banner. And you know Blazers fans will claim this one way or another.
Oh, man. Yeah, somebody in YouTube chat I saw said, hey, I was watching that game. The Milwaukee Dames kicked their butts, and it was glorious. Hey, why did they trade him again? He's pretty good at basketball.
Yeah,
that Damian Lillard, he is pretty good still.
Over his last 11 games, he's averaging 28, 9, and 5 on 48, 41, 92 splits.
Sounds good.
But basically 30, 10, and 5 on 50, 40, 90.
I love how you just throw numbers out like everybody else is following along with those in your head. Like, and like you have the numbers dialed in.
And
like,
then
you just do it.
I see numbers all the time.
Yeah.
Like during the commercial breaks, I'm literally looking at stuff.
You're just numbers.
It's
just numbers everywhere.
It sticks in my head.
And
The Rain Man of 1080 The Fan.
I will translate.
You're not wrong.
Those are really good numbers.
It's really good numbers.
50,
Except
40,
I'm not
90.
sure
really
Danny's
good.
an excellent driver.
I mean, yeah, I'll say maybe with that. I've heard some of your car crash stories, and they're not great.
Well, there's only been one crash.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if I heard that he hurries home for Wapner.
No, he's a Judge Judy guy. He's a Judge Judy guy.
Never was.
No?
Yeah, there's something about her irritates me.
Don't pee on my shoes and tell me it's raining.
Okay, there we go.
Hmm.
All right,
Transition out of that.
sports, betting, gambling. Our man Ryan Horvat joins us next. First is Big Kahuna Sports Center.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, more accolades for Oregon quarterback Bo Nix as he was in Southern California last night to accept the Campbell Award More generally known as the academic Heisman, Nix is the second Duck to win the award following Justin Herbert 4 years ago. Fresh off an all Pac-12 second-team selection, Oregon State tight end Jack Velling has entered the transfer portal. According to Nick Daschel of The Oregonian, Velling set a school record for a tight end with 8 touchdowns this season. The Trailblazers wrap up their 5-game trip tonight at the Warriors. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports. Jeremy Grant out. He is still in concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton doubtful with right knee soreness, but Anthony Simons now questionable. He could return after tearing a ligament in his right thumb on opening night. The Blazers are 12.5-point underdogs. Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson says quarterback Trevor Lawrence will not practice today as he deals with a high ankle sprain suffered Monday night against the Bengals. And Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy will have surgery today after being diagnosed with an acute case of appendicitis. He is expected to be released from the hospital later today, and he plans on coaching Sunday night against the Eagles. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
One number does it all for contests and texting your favorite fan shows. The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6FAN.
brought it home from school. Then my wife got it, and I knew I was in big trouble, which is funny because, like, growing up, I would never let anybody eat off of my plate, or, you know, I would never, like, share a drink. Even with my siblings, it drove my parents crazy, you know, and I was a germ, you know, I didn't like germs. And now, man, I have a kid, and I went like 10, probably like 12 years, actually, without getting sick. I had perfect attendance all throughout high school. And then I get to be an adult, and now I've been sick like 3 times already in the last 6 months because anytime my son gets sick, you know, he's sharing my Gatorades. My wife, I bought one of these big, like, Oreo shakes, and for whatever reason, my wife made me share it with him. And then the next thing I know, I have a sore throat, the cough, the whole thing. I lost my voice. It was a brutal week. But you know what? It wasn't all that bad because I got to sit on my couch and watch League Pass during the weekday, which I never get to do. I'm always at work, so that was kind of nice.
Well, speaking of sitting down and watching League Pass in the NBA, what have the books been able to make of the in-season tournament and the style of play, and what differences they can attribute to those games already?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, and that's what we talked about before the season. I wanted to see what it was going to look like. You know, a couple things that I was looking at as far as like the futures market or teams that I was going to back in the tournament. I was looking for, okay, so I didn't know what the motivation would be for teams like Boston or out west, like teams like Denver. But some of these, you know, like kind of young and up and coming teams, I guess if you even want to call them that. Like I really like the Pacers. Love betting Pacers overs, but I was kind of all over Indiana. And so, you know, there's just certain teams that we were targeting. I really like the Pelicans, so that's worked out as well. You know, some of the vet teams, you just wondered kind of what the motivation was going to be. Were they going to care? So, you know, year one, I think it was just kind of let's wait and see. But, man, I didn't know what to make of it at first, and I love it. The courts, I've kind of really gotten into it, and the product's been really good. You know, so I think you look at a team like the Pelicans, though. I mean, their ATS this year, 13-8-1. Not quite as good as my Orlando Magic, who are 15-5 against the spread. And, you know, even look at, like, some of these teams. I think what we're finding out is, you know, who you trust as far as who the market hasn't quite figured out yet. And Orlando's a team where they're 4-point dogs, 3.5-point dogs again tonight. And like I said, they're 15-5 against the spread. The Nets this season are only 10-9 overall, but they're 14-4-1 against the number. Ooh. The Thunder, that's my League Pass team, 13-6 this season, but even better, 14-4-1 against the spread. And then Philadelphia, like I didn't know what to expect from them year one with Nick Nurse after they lose James Harden. They're 12-7, but they're 13-6 against the number. So I think like throughout the tournament and just these regular season games, the first couple months, just trying to figure out who I like a little bit better, I guess, than the market. And for me, it's really Orlando for the first couple months of the season.
You know, in the NFL, we're kind of in a similar situation where we saw Vegas at the beginning of the year. They always try to figure out what teams are, and lines change, right? And they adapt to the personnel on the field. We got a weird thing going on in the NFL where it's almost like a recalibration time right now because, you know, we were talking earlier, 4 of the 7 playoff teams, if the playoffs were to start today in the AFC, are with their backup quarterbacks. We have 14 backup quarterbacks across the league that are playing right now. Is there value, and where is the value in some of these teams that are playing backups that maybe Vegas is trying to recalibrate and catch up on, because quarterback's the most important position in sports, and we got some ridiculous turnover at that position this year.
Yeah, we really do. You know, and like, because as far as the futures market, you know, a lot of people really liked the Browns this season because of that defense, especially the first 4 weeks of the season. You know, against the run, that pass rush, they were looking like a top 5 defense. The problem is then they lose Nick Chubb, and then they've lost every single quarterback. It's gotten really bad. So that's a team where their numbers continue to plummet. And I, you know, considered a couple weeks ago maybe buying in, but now, you know, with DTR being out, you know, it's just gotten so bad on the offensive side of the ball that I can't trust them. But I like for example, like Monday night, Joe Burrow is obviously great, and he's worth, you know, 5-6 points to the market. That makes sense, especially when you consider the fact Jake Browning's the backup. And, you know, we hadn't seen Jake Browning in so long. But, like, Cincinnati's a team where I look at them the rest of the way, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win a playoff game. But if I continue to get double-digit spreads or, you know, anything over key numbers, 7.5, 8, I'm going to back them with Jake Browning as their starting quarterback. Like last week, they got T. Higgins back. And I know he didn't do a whole lot, but it's a contract year.
Yep.
He still wants to get paid. He's still a top 10 receiver, in my opinion, top 15. They still have Jamar Chase. You still have Boyd. The offensive line's been decent. So, as long as they continue to do what they're doing, they're getting a little bit healthier in the backfield. They got Chase Brown back finally off the IR. They had him, they were using Jake under center a little bit, not just the shotgun stuff they were running with Burrow. So there's just certain teams with backups that I will buy in with as far as like point spreads. But I don't think any of these teams that are playing their backups right now could make a run. I know a lot of people really like Minnesota with Dobbs, but he's kind of came back down to earth. Then he got injured. So, with these teams with backups, I just can't trust. And there's so many of them. I don't remember a season where we had this many injuries at the quarterback position, and it all began week 1 with Aaron Rodgers.
And that's where I was going to go with this next. Speaking of the backup bowls, I mean, not only in the you said the games where you get matched up in the starter versus backups. How do you accurately kind of handicap the backup bowls themselves, where you have backup against backup, and we're going to get a lot of those coming up? As particularly you look at the AFC South, where I mean, God, every quarterback seemingly in the division's out, and you're going to get those division matchups down the stretch. How do you? I mean, is it a viable strategy to kind of target those games, or you just steer clear of them entirely?
Yeah. I feel like there's, you just kind of like look for the right price for each backup. Like Indianapolis this season, I don't think a lot of people knew what they were going to look like, but the defense has actually been really good. And the offensive line's been pretty good, and they have a strong run game. I like their weapons enough, and Minshew comes in and he could run the offense. He could run the Steichen offense. And so they've kind of caught people by surprise, and they might end up winning the South. We got to wait and see when Trevor Lawrence ends up coming back. And, I know you have Houston, but they're really young. I really like them too. But I just feel like, it's more – I was talking about this last week when we did the conference championship stuff, and then like with Florida State. I ended up really liking Florida State in the ACC championship game because I think Louisville was a little bit overrated this season, and I like the pieces, around the third-string quarterback. I like Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman, and I like that defense that's top 10 in the country. So I argued, quarterback's very, very important. It's the most important position on the field. But if you have the right system, the right weapons, and a serviceable backup, with extra time to prepare, I'll bet on a backup quarterback. I don't like backup quarterbacks coming in the second quarter or in the fourth quarter. I don't like C.J. Beathard after Trevor Lawrence was knocked out after 3 quarters because he's not prepared. They haven't had a full week to put in the game plan. But I feel like, as long as the first couple of weeks, man, of like DTR, I was still back in the Browns because of that defense, because of the weapons, Amari Cooper, the run game, in the right matchup. But that's really what I need because you never know what you're going to get with some of these guys. Jake Browning, a great example. We hadn't seen him since Washington. I was still in Iowa doing local radio the last time I saw him play football, so I didn't know what to expect. But damn, he looked good.
I got a question for you about a team that has just been a train wreck against the spread this year and really has not lived up to expectations. The Buffalo Bills are 1-7 in their last 8 against the spread, and they've been on the struggle bus. They head into this week where they got to go to Kansas City on the road off of a bye and are 1.5-point dogs to Kansas City. I'm just sitting there, and everything in my being tells me, even though they have a chance and they're trying to grind this one out, to just lay the money on the Chiefs because of the way that they lost last week. Am I completely wrong in this? Because there's nothing about Buffalo right now, and especially on the defensive side of the football, that I'm like, yeah, I trust it.
That's what sucks about this game. These are two teams that I had circled where you kind of want to back, right? Because you have the Chiefs off a loss, on the road against the Packers, who are kind of a scary team in the NFC right now. But, still, everybody expected the Chiefs to win that football game. They opened as touchdown favorites, closed as 5.5-point favorites in that game. They lose outright. And so you want to back them, especially at Arrowhead, off a loss. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the way that defense is playing, they seem like the right side. But Buffalo's so desperate. Mm-hmm. The only reason, though, that I don't want to back them is because they're going against the Chiefs off this loss. But, I mean, they've had extra time to prepare. I've bet Buffalo a lot. They would be the side that I would bet in this game. I wish I would have got a 3 or even a 2.5. This line continues to go down, which tells you Buffalo's probably the side. But I can't do it because of what you said, man. I mean, you saw it against Cincinnati. They're not really getting a pass rush. Von Miller looks washed. They lost Matt Milano for the season, who was playing like an all-pro. They lost Trey White, their best cover corner. They made the trade for Rasul Douglas, and he's good. He's not really a shutdown number one corner. So I'm with you. I would bet the Bills. I think they're the right side, but I don't know, man, because I'm with you. Like, betting against Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead off a loss, I don't think anybody's going to get rich off of that.
All right, Horvat, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you. Feel better, number one, and then we'll get you back next week, and we'll get the takes on the in-season tournament finale live from the books in Las Vegas.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. I like the Raptors against the Heat tonight. No Bam, no Tyler Hero. The Heat are already a terrible rebounding team. Now they don't have Bam in that game. And then I'm going to bet the Clippers. The Clippers have been playing a little bit better the last couple of games. So I have some hope. I have some hope with the Clippers.
That makes one of us. Thanks, Horvat. Appreciate you. That was the BetMGM Tonight and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, Ryan Horvat. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Coming up next, there's a little question I want to ask you, Dusty. Which backup bowl quarterback are you putting the most faith in going forward? Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
On the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
Look, when I have an opportunity to make fun of the Oakland A's, I'm going to take it.
Let's do it.
It's absolutely fantastic stuff because, my goodness, just when you think it can't really get any worse, it gets worse. Winter meetings are not even yet fully underway, and yet you've got the transactionary period kind of opening up in Major League Baseball. This is David Forst, the GM of the A's, explaining that he is having issues signing players to more than 1-year deals because if he offers a 2-year deal, he can't guarantee where his team is going to be playing.
Look, the problem that he also has is that he has a cheap-ass owner who's one of the worst in all of professional sports, nay, the worst in all of professional sports, and they're not going to give them a lot of money to go out and give competitive offers to free agents for more than 1 year anyways. The biggest farce in the world is when John J. Fisher went out and said, well, once we get a new stadium in Las Vegas, we're going to be competitive again. We'll have that money. No, stop with that. And the fact that his GM is like, we don't know where we're going to play. Yeah, you don't because of your ownership.
Because you're so stupid.
You're leaving the city of Oakland after decades of fighting them on who should pay for the stadium, a billionaire owner or the city of Oakland. And the city of Oakland did the right thing and said, take a hike, A's. This sucks all the way around for Oakland A's fans that are from Oakland and live in Oakland. This is what the A's get. The fact that their GM can't even go out and
do his job.
And he already has one hand but tied behind his back because of his owner being cheap. But now you have this to add to it. I love it. I absolutely love it because there's not a team that I want to see fail more than the Oakland A's. And it's not because of the players on the field. It's not because of their fans. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's solely because of their ownership. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Makes me hate the team.
Which, I mean...
And the team doesn't deserve it. Their fans don't deserve it.
No, they don't. And it's all very, very dumb, and MLB should force ownership out. But here we are. I also have to work this one in yesterday.
He needs to get canceled.
Yes,
for something.
something.
Somebody's got to be working on that. Maybe he's squeaky clean outside of just being cheap.
I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
I very, very, very highly doubt it.
Okay. You don't think the Gap fortune is
that he was handed
shady
to
at all?
him? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
No. I don't trust the Chinos at all. The other one is, I mentioned yesterday, I lived in Grand Forks, North Dakota. It's 45 minutes north of Fargo. I was stationed up there, and we used to run down to see North Dakota State football games. Like that was kind of a thing. Like it's a lifeblood of a city. Well, the University of South Dakota has canceled North Dakota State's fans' tickets for their playoff game because North Dakota State fans guessed the pre-sale password for USD pre-sales as playoffs.
Okay, so University of South Dakota, the Yotes out there, this is unfamiliar territory for them because if you look at the hierarchy of football in the Dakotas, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and then you have USD and UND. Not very good.
No.
South Dakota is really good this year. Like not the Jackrabbits, the Coyotes. They're really good this year. And this is a playoff. This is a huge matchup for both of those teams.
Regionally, it's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. And the FCS playoffs are fantastic. I mean, you had a snow game in Montana.
I mean, it was coming down.
I love good snow games. I hope we get one for Army-Navy this weekend. I hope we get Army-Navy.
Strong chance.
But and I think that one's in Foxborough this year. They guessed, though, the code for the pre-sale?
As the word playoffs.
Couldn't do anything.
No.
Couldn't even be like Yotes playoffs or
playoffs 23.
Oh my! It was just playoffs.
Playoffs.
That was there, and so North Dakota State's fan base, which is very passionate, they just went and swooped them all up.
They swooped up the tickets, and now South Dakota is canceling tickets.
I don't think that they should. If you're dumb enough to make it a simple password. I mean, that's what I've been told in all of my online trainings, that it's my fault if my password isn't strong enough.
Look, I see playoffs there. I don't see alphanumeric values. I don't see at least 10 characters.
No.
What's going on here?
They deserve this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Deal
they
with
made
it.
that way too easy to figure out.
Also, I mean,
how work emails we have to have numbers and a capital letter.
Alphanumeric, yes. And that's the thing is like
Bananas.
how are they establishing whether somebody's a North Dakota State fan or not? Because they've got a North Dakota or a Fargo address.
That's a good point.
Like
All of this just reminds me, though,
all 40 people.
of the great movie Spaceballs.
The combination is 1, 2,
2,
3,
3,
4, 5.
5. So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life. That's the kind of thing an idiot would have on his luggage. Thank you, Your Highness. Well, did it work? Where's the key? It worked, sir. We have the combination. Great. What's the combination? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
That's amazing. I got the same combination on my luggage.
We ain't found
I love Mel. He's so good. He's so good.
South Dakota spaceballed themselves into this.
They've gone from suck to blow.
The only answer to any of this, and I'm sure that this will not be a problem for North Dakota State, they need to go plaid. They need to go
Oh
full
God,
plaid.
that'd be awesome.
And they just wear that because South Dakota's spaceballsing themselves into their pre-sale tickets being sold out to North Dakota State fans is the most deserving thing of this.
Make sure you get Spaceballs the playoff game.
1, 2, 2.
It's like the count.
I love it. I love that. That's how they went down. And look,
It's a good fan base.
that it's the most FCS playoffs thing that
Yeah.
could happen to them is having the Spaceballs code.
Where's South Dakota at?
I don't know my cities of South Dakota.
Oh, I forget. It was something like Vermilion.
I don't know. I do know that my beloved University of Southern Oregon Raiders played them the year after I was done.
Hey, look at that. Public University in Vermilion, South Dakota.
Vermilion.
Look at
South
you.
Dakota.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah.
I don't know that I know where Vermilion's at. I got to do a quick little map out here.
Yeah,
to
no idea.
see. I think it's okay. So it's dead south of Sioux Falls.
South Dakota might be the state in the union I know the least about.
Oh, okay. So Vermilion is
be.
on the border of Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Like it's like
Down there.
down there. So okay. So yeah. Wow.
I know nothing about that state. Except for the University South Dakota State plays outdoors,
It's like on the
which is a
it's on
ballsy
the, like the
move.
tri-state border of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. So that's a 5-hour drive, 6-hour drive from Fargo.
I think I once stayed in Custer and in Keystone.
Sure.
All right.
And Custer was right outside of Sturgis, and that was like as we were leaving town. That was when like all the bikers were already rolling in for the Sturgis weekend.
I think Mount Rushmore and Sturgis are the only two things I know about that state
That's fair.
with certainty.
I've driven through it 4 or 5 times.
Custer, South Dakota did have the Flintstones theme park, which was also the
What?
the loosest use of the term theme park I have ever seen.
I didn't know where you were going with
Yeah,
the
I
start of
didn't.
that sentence.
Yeah, I didn't either. Also, like, do the carts there? Like, do you just pedal around in them barefoot?
They do have a Flintstone car that you can take a trip around the track in. Yeah,
Look at that.
a couple different buildings you can walk through, but yeah, the theme park not so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Enjoy. So, shout out to North Dakota State.
84.2% of the state of South Dakota
Uninhabited.
white,
Oh yeah. Honestly, they're still doing
Which
better
is-
than us.
What'd you say? How much?
which is down 84.7%.
That sounds low.
Well, 8.8 is Native American.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think they're
Didn't
doing
think about
better
that.
than us. I think the state of Oregon's like 86%.
It is dropping. They've got they were 91.6 back in 1990.
Well, look at that. Good for them.
Yeah.
Diversity.
Holy smokes.
Not just an old wooden ship.
Well, I think in South Dakota it might be.
All right, let's reset this. Hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty. The Civil War, is it back on?
Is it?
for the rivalry moving forward. I understand, though, that Oregon State fans, they are still scorned because of Oregon, Washington, and the Pac-12 dissolving and Washington State and Oregon State being left behind. I find it very interesting, though, that it kind of seems like, and I do understand and I do know, there is a facet of Washington State fans that were torn when they announced that the Apple Cup was going to continue on.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem, though, as though there is as much vitriol towards the rivalry being renewed from Washington State and Washington than there is between Oregon State and Oregon doing this. Like, Oregon and Washington are in this just like, yeah, sure, keep it going. We liked having this game.
Yeah.
But there is that you left us behind
Mhm.
by Oregon State. That seems like it's way more
It's toxic.
passionate coming from the Beaver fan base than it is from the Cougs towards Washington. Not and again, I'm not saying that it's not there with Washington State.
No.
I've seen it. I know.
It's not as prevalent.
But we have had a lot of feedback come in
Yes.
on the Vancouver Ford Tech
It
side.
was just scrolling there for about 25 minutes.
There was 2 Beaver fans that even had a reply that was, no, I'm glad that this rivalry is going to be continuing. Every other one, and I understand this is the immediacy of it, this is the knee-jerk reaction to it, and you're still like, no, screw those guys. But that is, and we got a lot of texts on this thing, and it's not just the whole pulse of the entire fan base.
No.
I'm not dumb enough to think that, but it is a overwhelming number of B fans that are like, no, don't need it.
No,
don't
and
want
I've
it,
seen the same thing on Twitter.
can't have it. And I find that interesting that they just are saying, I'd rather this rivalry just go away than exist and continue, because there is this kind of the prevailing thought that the Ducks are on a rocket ship and the Beavs are the Wright brothers trying to get this plane off the ground again. And that's a tough pill to swallow, but I feel like as time passes, that will also ease, because you don't want the Civil War to go away wholly. You don't want it to be a situation where you look at it and you go, we're never going to see this thing again. We never want to see it. Like we had a text that says, too soon. Anyway, in a couple of years, college football is going to be formally divided into the haves and have-nots based on money. This year's will be over anyway. And I don't think that is true. And they also add on, also never use the term little brother, the little brother metaphor. Brothers may fight, but they always have each other's backs and care about each other. I think even when you have those haves and have-nots being separated, you'll still see some rivalries that are going to exist and move on.
Yeah, no
This
matter
makes
what
it
they
that
will.
much hard. This makes it that much harder, though, because we may see it if the divide is truly there and Oregon State is not in the opt-in to the new proposal that we saw yesterday come out, then we may see this thing go away, because then that gap widens to a point where it's unsalvageable for Oregon State to compete. And then that's where Oregon State fans that are on the panic meter saying, well, we're never going to be able to compete anyway. What's the point of just getting our teeth kicked in, because that's not going to be a rivalry.
Yeah, that defeatist attitude's also kind of a weird thing to me. I just put a poll out on Danny and Dusty. We can check back in on it tomorrow. Gave you 4 options. Do you want the Civil War to continue? And it's yes or no. Yes, or as an Oregon fan. No, as an Oregon fan. Yes, as an Oregon State fan. No, as an Oregon State fan. Just to kind of give us a little a clearer sense of where fan bases stand. We all have our reeling suspicions, but it would be interesting to kind of see how that divide breaks out.
For sure.
But I've always kind of looked at Oregon State fans as a bit of a kindred spirit, in the sense of being a bit of a protagonist and the underdog, right? And wanting to be spiteful and petty. And I mean that like congratulatory. It's a good thing. You use that motivation. You've always used that motivation of being the land-grant school that can go out there and play with the big boys. I understand the landscape of college football right now and the position that you're in. I thought it would have advanced their chip on their shoulder. And it seems to have knocked them down a peg. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because there was always a seat at the table and now they've been kicked to the little kids table. And that is tough. That is tough. And look, there's no easy way to say that without, being blunt and honest. They lost their seat at the table when conference realignment happened. That sucks. And so that's where that chip on the shoulder, like you got knocked down a peg. You got knocked down a whole hell of a lot of pegs in conference realignment. And it is not the end though in all of this, because they're going at it from a totally different realm than what we've seen before. And we've seen a lot. Look, they're not the first ones that have lost their seat at the table. I mean, look at what happened to Rice, SMU, TCU. They all lost their seat at the table a long time ago when the Big 12 was formed, Big 8 and then Big 12. When the Southwest Conference dissolved, they were kicked to the abyss. But you can go the way of Rice and be irrelevant, or you can do TCU. What TCU did, which is they climbed and clawed their way back up to relevance. You can do what Houston did, which is
Danian Tomlinson.
And they got kicked. I mean, both of those programs, they got kicked way down, but they've scratched and clawed their way back. SMU, it's taken 40 years to do,
but they were quite literally done.
They have scratched and clawed their way back, and now they're going to be in the ACC moving forward next year. The road is it's not a short one.
No, and it's not easy.
But one thing that Oregon State does have that none of those programs had was they have a head start in the new era and the new world of college football with their facilities are not something that they really need to worry about. You just finished the other side of Reser Stadium. The Valley Football Center is top notch. You do have ancillary and Olympic sports to lean on that are really good, like your baseball program, like your soccer program, which is, played in the semifinal this year. Like you have those where your athletic department is not just in absolute tatters right now, but keeping up with the Joneses is going to be exponentially more tough moving forward. That's it. And that's where that chip is you're talking about is we'll see how fast things move. And if they have that opportunity to opt in, this is the thing that I find really interesting is that there's a lot of fans that are saying like, hey, we just want that seat at the table. What was proposed yesterday by the NCAA is, okay, fans, this is where you can put your money where your mouth is, right? And if it's going to cost $30,000 per athlete to play at that next level, the fan base has got to put up in that way too. Yeah. And that's like separate from like, keep this rivalry going and see where you are in 2, 4, 8, 10 years.
Maybe you get that NVIDIA money.
Dude, they need that NVIDIA
money. Listen, that NVIDIA money, to be clear,
that's real money.
That's more money than Uncle Phil. Like if he decides he wants to play the game, B fans, you have more.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. He's got the dumb money.
Yeah.
So, there is a world, there is a path. I don't know how relevant it is, but it is there.
It's there. What are you going to do with it? And what can you do with it is the big question there. And I think his name is Jensen Huang.
Yep.
He's Oregon State grad, and he's like one of the richest people
on the planet,
the world.
Yeah. He's the founder, inventor, owner of NVIDIA Graphics.
Yeah.
Which they are the leading graphics card processor for the planet.
And he has donated money on the financial side to Oregon State. And this is the hard part, is that can you convince these people that are very successful to now start caring more about
super
sports,
donors,
right?
Yeah.
And that's hard. That's hard. Some text that we got on the Vancouver Ford text line. Your girlfriend breaks up with you. Only suckers truly want to remain, quote, friends. The best revenge is for the Beavs to go find a way to crawl back to prominence without Oregon. That's the petty and prideful way.
See, I would push back against that and say that playing them once a year is showing them that you're better off without them.
Yeah.
That you don't need them.
Yeah.
And remind them every year.
Yep.
Oh, you went and got all that money in the Big Ten? How useful is, if you win, then you can look them in the eye and go, how useful is that money working for you right now?
Exactly. And like this text says, you should separate fans from donors. I'm a fan. I don't have the money to donate to the program. So am I at fault for not supporting them enough? No, you do need the...
It's the collective, so to speak, of fans.
You need the deep pockets, but you're kidding yourself if you don't think that Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, the average fan, they do. And
Donate
it is
$50, $100, whatever.
ridiculous.
When you've got
how much
when
they
you've
spend.
got an alumni base that is that big, Ohio State. Last I checked, it was either Ohio State or Michigan. It's the two largest alumni bases in the country.
Ohio State is.
Is it Ohio State? It goes back and forth between those two schools.
Yeah.
So when you've got that many people, when you're graduating 30,000 people a year, which is an insane number, but you're graduating that many people a year, you're $5 here, $20 here, $25 here. Guess what, man? That stuff adds up quick.
Yep. In the true spirit of the blue-collar underdog State University, I'd rather the Beavers flip a middle finger to the school down south and chart their own path. That text coming in. There's a lot of folks that feel that way.
I get it. It wouldn't be the way I would go, but I get it.
Yeah, what already was a canyon-sized gap became a Grand Canyon-sized gap. Eventually, this will make Oregon. This will be like Oregon playing Portland State. They'll hang 80 on the Beavs.
I don't think it's going to be that. So that's the thing. It's a little bit woe is me here.
There is that fear, and I think that fear is justified because Oregon State fans, they know how quickly it can turn.
Sure.
Right? It can turn in either direction. But right now, it's at a pivot point where, like, you were in the dregs for decades of just irrelevancy in football. Mike Riley, Dennis Erickson brought it back. You see how quickly, though, Gary Anderson
cratered it.
Just absolutely drove that thing
But
off
you
the
also
mountain.
see how quick Jonathan Smith built it back up.
But to them, on the outside, it was pretty quick, and he did a really good job. For them, that was a long 6-year turnaround.
Sure.
Right? Like, that long took – it was like, all right, we're turning this cruise ship around, and he did it, though. And now you're at the point of, are we going to go back down the road of, the Gary Anderson? We got a head coach who's never been a head coach before. He cares a whole hell of a lot about this university, but we have the transfer portal that is being just – guys are fleeing, and they're going to keep on going. Jack Velling leaving today is another sign of that. You need to get your quarterback. You need to replace a bulk of your offensive line. You need to go and you need to get new tight end room, period.
New quarterback
full
room.
stop. Yeah, like you've got a lot that you've got to fill. And that's scary and that's daunting. And I think that's where a little bit of that defeatist mentality is coming from the fans that are saying, no, screw him. I don't want him. I don't want to play him. I don't want to have give Oregon fans the satisfaction of, if this thing does go south, them running the score up on us. But I understand where they're coming from. I don't think it's going to be nearly as quick as they think it is. I mean, they lost 31-7 this year. We remember that?
Fair.
I mean, like, this thing could get sideways even when you're going in the right direction.
Sure.
So I'm just glad the game is, by reports, going to be coming back for the 2024 season.
Yes, and then
we
they'll work
can
things out from there.
Yep.
All right, coming up next, it's a question I posed to you a little bit ago. Which of the quarterbacks in the backup bowl are you most, I don't know, I'd say I would believe in? We'll get to that coming up here on Danny and Dusty today in the Fan.
one too.
Yeah. Do we have the audio from that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I have
so
it right here.
David Carr was on NFL Total Access, and Jalen Hurts has been getting some weird criticism from all corners of the country over the last couple of days, but this one might be the most unhinged.
Put Marcus in there, win a couple games. Yeah. Maybe you have the number 1 seed still. You might have it. I'd say he's probably better playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, he would be more productive.
Hey, I ain't say that, Philly.
Later,
I didn't say that,
when
Philly.
you're healthy,
Hey,
we'll
I
see
know
you in
what
the
time it is.
playoffs,
I didn't say that. He said that. It's
all the
all
way to
good.
the Super Bowl. We'll see.
Is Marcus Mariota actually on the roster right now?
Yeah.
Because I know been.
No, he's not. He's the backup. He came in against the 49ers, and this is what David Carr was saying, which is like that quote right there, it's kind of being twisted because what David Carr was getting at is if Jalen Hurts was concussed in the last game, which is when he's being evaluated for a concussion.
I mean, he had the look.
He didn't look right.
Yeah.
Then he's saying when healthy, you put Jalen Hurts back in, but why? He says it. He frames it very poorly. But why would you risk Jalen Hurts being out extended amount of time when you can say, all right, we're going to make sure he's right. We're going to put Marcus in, and he, without saying it, you hear him at the end. He's like, when healthy, he says, when healthy, get him back in there. But the guy's going, don't, Philly, I didn't say that. And he might be right in that. Like, don't put Jalen Hurts in now and risk a further injury if you can just put Marcus in for a couple of weeks and say, let's see where we're at. It ain't happening, though, this week. And the ridiculous part about it is injured Jalen Hurts is still better than healthy Marcus Mariota. And you're playing the Cowboys this week, for God's sakes. You're going to have to literally take Jalen Hurts' helmet, pads, and cleats and say, you're not going in this game because he is going to want to play in this no matter what. To frame it as they're better with Marcus, wrong. But if Jalen Hurts is in fact injured, then it does make sense.
Sure.
Like if he's concussed, he probably shouldn't be playing. And David Carr,
I'll take the probably out of it. He shouldn't be playing.
David Carr has been hit in the head enough times to where he's speaking like, you're not going to be fully right, and just wait till he's fully right. But that is no. But he wants that. He wants to get half the league into backup quarterbacks, and Marcus would go a long way to having that done.
I mean,
he's got 14 of 32 right now.
He'd be right there.
Jeez.
Is Marcus the guy that you're going to trust in that backup participation?
More than a lot of the other backups in the league. Like if we're looking at these, like, is Marcus Mariota a starting level quarterback in the NFL? I think we all know the answer to that at this point.
No.
He is not.
No.
But I'm looking around at some of the backup quarterback being played, and I'm going, he's better than that still. He's still better than that.
How dare you say anything negative about Mr. DeVito?
Yeah, Tommy DeVito is 100% on that. But CJ Beathard, who's going to be starting for the Jacksonville Jaguars, do you want anything to do with that? Yeah, I would take
he does
Marcus.
have a matching butt tat.
I would take what?
Oh, did you not know about this? Him and Kittle had a house together, and the punter from Iowa.
Okay.
They
go get your butt tats.
They have matching butt tats of the address of the house that they lived in together.
That's where Iowa football has fallen. That's why the offense isn't good anymore.
Because they don't have CJ Beathard and Kittle.
How many matching butt tats does that team currently have right now? I can draw a correlation to that offense being good with Beathard and Kittle.
I think Kittle, when he was telling the story, said like one of the linebackers came in the shower and they were in there and they why do you all have matching butt tats?
Yeah.
And he had to explain.
Yeah, that's still not going to make sense.
No, but
I mean, it's a really good plan if those guys are party animals like that and they pass out with their pants down. It's like return to this address.
Please, if found, please return to.
Go shove him right back to that address. Throw him in an Uber.
Something tells me the cops around Cedar Rapids knew exactly where they lived.
See, and that's the thing is that they could just sit there and they find him on the curb and they're like, all right, well, we know where you're going. But I'd take Marcus over Beathard or Joe Flacco, who's starting for the Browns.
I don't know, man. Flacco was slinging that thing the other night.
I'd take Jamarcus Mariota over that. I think the best backup
Jamarcus
bowl,
Mariota? We putting Jamarcus Russell and Marcus Mariota together?
I think the best backup bowl is Gardner against Browning. You get Minshew versus
Minshew
Browning.
Magic, man.
You get Cougs versus Huskies. You get an Apple Cup this weekend.
What was that, an actual Apple Cup matchup?
In 2018?
Maybe.
2018? I think those planets are aligned there. Is that right?
Can we call Jake Browning over and under?
What?
Like a shotgun? Browning shotguns?
You want to call him an over and under?
Yeah, like an over and under shotgun.
I don't think that joke's landed.
No?
I don't think that one is
No, it's a
like
nickname,
12 gauge is Cardale Jones.
Yeah,
like
that's why
everybody knows what that is, but calling him over and under, then you have to explain like what that means. Because when you said that, I was like, over under what? Passing yards?
Well,
I went down to Vegas.
I was gonna say the over and under because some games is gonna be over, some games is gonna be under.
I don't think that's sticking yet.
No?
I don't know that. I see where you're going with that. I see where we're going.
The 2018
He doesn't
Apple
look like
Cup,
a
the number
gun guy
16
either.
Huskies went into Pullman and beat the number 8 Cougars.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Browning versus Minshew.
Browning Minshew.
Neither one of them threw a touchdown.
Really?
Well, I could see that playing out this weekend.
I give up. All right, coming up next, speaking of getting healthy and not having backups, the Blazers might be getting back their best player. But first, it's a Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna Burger?
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on The Fan, more accolades for Oregon quarterback Bo Nix as he was in Southern California last night to accept the Campbell Award, colloquially known as the Academic Heisman. Nix is the second Duck to win the award, following Justin Herbert 4 years ago. Chad Simmons of On3 Sports reports Michigan, Miami, Ohio State, and Oregon have emerged as contenders for UCLA transfer quarterback Dante Moore. Fresh off an All Pac-12 second-team selection, Oregon State tight end Jack Velling has entered the transfer portal. According to Nick Daschel of the Oregonian, Velling set a school record for a tight end with 8 touchdowns this season. On the hard court, the Trailblazers wrap up their 5-game trip tonight at the Warriors. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports. Jeremy Grant out. He remains in concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton doubtful with right knee soreness, but Anthony Simons is questionable. He could return after tearing a ligament in his right thumb on opening night. The Blazers are 12.5-point dogs. Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson says quarterback Trevor Lawrence will not practice today as he deals with a high ankle sprain suffered Monday night against the Bengals. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell says they're sticking with Josh Dobbs as their starting quarterback. And Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy will have surgery today after being diagnosed with an acute case of appendicitis. He is expected to be released from the hospital later today, and he plans on coaching Sunday night against the Eagles. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
If you can't find the humor in today's NBA, you're doing it wrong. Heat Check with Trista Crick on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Commercial Industrial Auctioneers is holding their car, truck, and heavy equipment public auction this Saturday on site and online. This auction includes trailers, tractors, box trucks, forklifts, and much, much more. Don't forget about the pickups, SUVs, and motorcycles. For times, locations, and the auction catalog, go to commercialindustrialauctions.com. That's commercialindustrialauctions.com. Commercial Industrial Auctioneers, Oregon's leading auctioneer in heavy equipment, industrial, bankruptcy, and business liquidation auctions.
Hey, it's Suk for Toro Mexican Kitchen. Not only is it a great spot for a night out with a few friends or your best lady, make Toro the spot for your parties or events this holiday season. They have private dining spaces that can host anywhere from a dozen up to 100 people with a menu overflowing with the bold flavors of Mexico. And if you're looking for a great holiday gift, might I suggest a Toro gift card. Toro Mexican Kitchen. Transport yourself to Baja, Mexico with delicious regional dishes and cocktails. To book your event, go online to toropdx.com.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Prescriptions require an
online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
Get into the holiday spirit and listen to Portland's fun Christmas music station, 97.1 Charlie FM, for all the sounds of the season, from Mariah to the holiday classics.
It's the most.
Plus, keep rocking around the Christmas tree no matter where you are with 97.1 Charlie FM on the free Odyssey app. Turning your home into a winter wonderland? Ask your smart speaker to play 97.1 Charlie FM. Enjoy the holiday season your way on the radio, on your smart speaker, and on the free Odyssey app.
Team, it's snowing again tomorrow. They're predicting 2 to 3 feet.
'Tis the overtime season for Frank Snowplows.
Kelly, can you take another shift?
Let it snow. Quality driver applicants.
Hey guys, know anybody else with a D license?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
So you're ready to propose.
Yes, I am.
You got her parents' approval. You told her friends. And you got the ring.
Well...
Luckily, there's GageDiamonds.com with engagement rings in every style for every budget with certified natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, and moissanite.
But I'd rather not drain my savings.
Gage lets you buy the ring today and pay over time with no credit-needed financing.
Brilliant.
GageDiamonds.com. We're engagement's middle name.
Exclusions apply.
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080, The Fan.
Good news, ladies and gentlemen. Rejoice. The Portland Trailblazers are getting healthier, mostly, with the exception of Jeremy Grant out for concussion protocol and DeAndre Ayton out for right knee soreness tonight against the Golden State Warriors.
Hey, that's
So
good.
2 starters down, but you might be getting the Portland Trailblazers' best player back for the first time all season after getting hurt in opening night against Los Angeles Clippers. There's a very strong possibility Anthony Simons will make his return to the Trailblazers tonight.
That's great news. I love what Chauncey said yesterday in the scrum about it. He was fantastic.
Next couple games or so, maybe.
The next couple what?
Games or so, next few games maybe.
For Ant?
Yeah.
To start playing?
Yeah.
I'm hoping the next game is what I'm hoping. Not games or so. I'm hoping now. But we'll see, though.
Yeah, they need him.
Yeah, they need him bad.
I hope it's now. Come on, what are we doing here?
Interesting on the Trailblazers is that they're currently 12th defensively. They've been better. They've been better. Now, they get killed at the rim because they still aren't that big. And Robert Williams not being out there, they don't have true size out there on the floor when DeAndre Ayton isn't out there.
Yeah.
But they're better. I don't think they're going to end up in that 10 through 15 range by the end of the season. I think they're probably like 17, 18. But it's not dead last. What they are dead last in is offense.
Yeah,
and
it's not good.
Anthony Simons, look, I have talked to opposing players, opposing coaches. Ant terrifies game plans. He's quite literally a guy that stretches your defense out to 35 feet.
Yes, he makes it easier to operate for everybody else, especially the ones that are not prolific shooters, because right now you have nobody keeping the Blazers, the defense honest.
Yes.
So you can just pack the paint and say, okay.
And you're not going to sag off him.
I like that. I'm excited to see him back, but because look, it could be another mark of growth that we see from this team.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had a long time off. This has kind of been a time to reset. You don't get a lot of time to practice in the NBA.
No, and they've gotten a couple days here with the in-season tournament.
And you're going to have a couple more.
Yes. And so they can be able to work on some things. What's going to be interesting about this is how the lineup goes now. Because
what's his minute restriction going to be?
I don't think there's going to be if there's going to be a minute restriction, it's going to be just a couple minutes. Like instead of playing 35, he plays 30. Because for those that don't know, he tore the ligaments at the base of his thumb that connect to his wrist, ulnar collateral ligaments. Had surgery on that a couple days later after tearing it after the first game of the season. It happened, I believe, in the third quarter of that game. So he's missed 18 plus games now.
Less than ideal.
Yeah, not exactly great because he is their best player. He is their best offensive player. He is their best shooter. He is the one that gives the gravity to the team. I don't think there's going to be a minutes restriction, but I am going to be interested to see, at least tonight, if he does go, him out on the floor, does he start?
Yeah.
Because ultimately he should be starting when all things are said and done. What does that starting unit look like? When they're all healthy, I would imagine that it would be Anthony, Shaedon, Tumani, Jeremy, DeAndre, with Scoot, Malcolm, Tease, Jabari.
My guy Tumani
coming off the bench.
My guy Tumani Kamara.
What this does,
I love
though,
watching him.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He's so fun.
Yes. we'll dive into him a little bit more.
Best throwaway player in a trade of all time.
Right, 52nd pick, and
Oh,
he's going to be. In all seriousness, I sat down with a couple of scouts over the last week or so because things have been quieter on the basketball front. I've been able to make some phone calls. There's a very strong chance he's going to make an all-rookie team, second team all-rookie, but he will likely make an all-rookie team.
Yeah, we're only like 20 games in though.
But he is impressed.
He has been great.
I have asked a few players who have gone up against the Blazers and been guarded by Tumani and kind of asked about what they feel about him. Pain in the rear was what one player told me. He goes, getting picked up 94 feet by a 6'7" dude who's super athletic is not fun.
Yeah, it's never fun.
He's like, I did not enjoy the experience.
It's just fun to see a guy who has a body ready for the NBA too.
Yes.
You know, like he's not like hey, Nick Batum, you got to put on 20 pounds and then we'll see what you got.
They've got it in Ryan Repair.
Yeah.
Like they've got that guy.
They got that project guy, but he came in and he's like his frame is
He's 6'7", 225, and he moves like a gazelle.
Yeah. He's really fun.
Yeah, he is incredibly fun. As it pertains to Ant, what's going to be interesting about this is you're going to have Shaedon Sharpe playing off the ball with a shooter and a creator for the first time really this season. That's what's going to be interesting is that during the break, I was showing you some of the pick and roll numbers as it pertains to high volume pick and roll guys. Shaedon Sharpe is second to last on the ball in the pick and roll next to Jeremy Sohan.
In the entire NBA.
Well, among guys who have at least 150 reps.
Yeah.
So guys who have enough of a sample, which is it's a pretty decent amount. There's 68 players.
Yeah, 70.
So it's basically 2 players per team plus list, which when you're getting a sample size, that's a pretty good sample
That's
size.
that gravity that you were talking about,
Yes.
though. It pulls teams like there is nothing to respect from the Blazers without an outside shot because you say, all right, who are the 2 guys that are going to beat you? DeAndre Ayton and Shaedon Sharpe. And where are they going to kill you from? It ain't from beyond the arc. So you just pack the paint. And now you have a guy who you got to say, we can't do that anymore. I love this. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a bummer with Jeremy and DA out, but you're going to have some opportunities here to see what Anthony can do in that lead role, which we've seen him in spurts for 6 weeks at a time over the last couple of years where he's been incredible, averaging 25, 7, and 5 almost on 48, 42, 90 splits.
Not too shabby.
Which is insane.
Not too shabby at all.
Again, I don't expect that, but I do fully integrated back in the flow of things. Anthony Simons should be averaging 24, 25 a game.
All right.
On pretty high efficiency. So it's going to be a bit of a change from what we've seen, hopefully, at least, for the Blazers offense.
Well, and I want to see what it does to them defensively, but today's not going to be the indicator that, especially with DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant both out.
Yeah, both of those guys out, not good.
By the way, the Warriors are favored by 12.5 points tonight.
There's going to be a lot of people, though, like, oh, see, defense is terrible when Ant comes back. No, it was going to be terrible whether he was there or not tonight.
But this is also one of those
Jeremy
games,
Grant and DeAndre Ayton are not playing.
which elevates other guys. But also, it's going to be one of those games where the Warriors, man, this is a win-win game for the Blazers. If they lose, ping pong balls, good for them. If they beat the Warriors, Their ping pong balls get
See?
better. It's good for the Blazers. This is
Let's have more of these games.
In fact, they picked up an extra game because of the in-season tournament. They picked up a 4th game against the Warriors, so they have a few more chances to improve their odds.
All things breaking Blazers.
You
right
love
now.
to see it, right?
Look at that.
It's the little things in life.
Look at that.
Which is where we'll go when we wrap things up. The little things in life. Danny and Dusty, Tony the Fan.
under the name both All in the Family for 9 seasons and went on for 4 more seasons as Archie Bunker's Place. He developed Sanford and Son. Maude and the Jeffersons were both spinoffs of All in the Family. He did One Day at a Time. Good Times, which was a spinoff of Maude. Yeah, that guy, he's an American icon.
I can't believe, I thought he died a few years ago. Like, I thought I remember we did this a few years ago. He's 101, so but I thought he died a few years ago, like right around the time. Remember when they did the All in the Family,
the live recreations?
Yeah,
Yes.
and I thought for some reason maybe it's that I thought was like he was already dead, but I thought it was right around that same time. But that guy, he has an incredible story. Like when you talk about his World War II service and coming back and like creating a genre of comedy that also wove in very serious topics at a time that people weren't comfortable or ready to talk about race and sexuality at that time, and putting his main characters who were supposed to be beloved into conflict of maybe you're not as good of a guy, Archie Bunker, as we all thought you were.
Yeah, and
you know?
TV networks were terrified of it too. It took a 3rd pilot until it was finally picked up by CBS.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. R.I.P. He was one of those guys that he just kind of did it differently, you know? He did it differently. I
Served him well.
Yeah, I always like am in awe of these people, because we were talking about this with actors and actresses yesterday, right? Where we don't have any like great young actors and actresses.
Right.
A lot of them aren't willing to take on like controversial roles either, right? Or do the comedy that is so out of left field that it's new and uncomfortable for people. Everything just seems prepackaged right now, and you have guys like Norman Lear that kick down those doors.
Some of the actors originally considered for Archie Bunker were Mickey Rooney, Tom Bosley, who was Mr. Cunningham, Jack Warden, Jackie Gleason.
Ooh, Gleason.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
That's
wound up
crazy.
being Carol O'Connor.
R.I.P. Norman Lear.
And on a happier note, happy 26th birthday, Sabrina
young.
Ionescu.
26 years old for Sabrina.
Feels like she's been in the cultural zeitgeist for 15 years already.
Yeah, well, COVID did that.
That's what I mean.
She was at Oregon during COVID, and it's like, God, that seems like a billion years ago.
And yesterday.
All at the same time.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't like it.
No, time is screwing with us all.
Also, her shoe is taking over the NBA.
A lot of NBA players are wearing her shoe. It's
Going back to
good-looking-
the last segment,
it's a
Anthony
good-looking
Simons
shoe.
has transitioned to wearing Sabrina's.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
There's a couple other guys who will remain nameless who were wearing them at practice, and I asked about them. I'm like,